Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here. Hurricane Outlook and discussion time. It is Friday, the 20th of November. That means there's only 10 days left in the Atlantic hurricane season. And I think we've got a shot at not having another named storm between now and the end of the month. There's at least a chance. After 30 named storms, I think that's fine. And in fact, the weather pattern today and for the next several days is going to be pretty benign over a good deal of the western hemisphere, and that includes the tropics. We'll take a look at that now. Not much going on out there. We do have this large yellow area. Low chance of development out here. Just a little area of clouds and showers trying to get together out there. A non-tropical area of low pressure, as the Hurricane Center calls it, could form over the western Atlantic early next week, and it'll only have a short window of time to develop maybe some subtropical characteristics before it moves northeastward and merges with, a cold front by the middle of next week. So you folks in Bermuda, which is kind of hidden in here, right there's Bermuda. Howard, talking to you, buddy. You might be able to get some rain to fill your tanks, although I would think that maybe Paulette took care of that. I don't know. How quickly do those things deplete? The fresh water, Bermuda's in the middle of the Atlantic, and in case you didn't know, the Atlantic is salty, so you need that fresh water from sometimes tropical cyclones, as long as they're not too strong, to replenish those cisterns, or tanks as they call them there, and that's the same down in the islands as well, the Caribbean. Nothing in the Pacific right now. Polo dissipated, and that is that. We'll put, hopefully, the finishing touches on what has been an historic hurricane season here in the next 10 days or so. The National Hurricane Center is going to have their work cut out for them in the off season, as will we, kind of going over everything that happened. All right, looking at the big picture here, the satellite animation. Excuse me, nothing but dry air in my office, apparently. Every time I take a breath, it dries out everything. It's just the air is dry in here. It makes me cough. I need to keep that water handy. Nothing but westerly winds. That's a good sign, especially after all we've been through. When you see that strong band of westerlies, especially cutting down here across the Caribbean, seriously, that's awesome, especially after what all we've seen. And the same is true down here in the deep tropics, westerly winds, and that's what you would expect. Westerlies everywhere. Westerlies abound, and I'll just draw that back to kind of fill it in. Very few places of favorability at all. This cold core system probably isn't going to do much. No mention of it from the National Hurricane Center. This is mostly in the upper to mid-levels of the atmosphere. Water temperatures are still plenty warm throughout a good part of this area. Not everywhere that I circled, but they're still warm. But warm water by itself doesn't give us tropical cyclones. I think we know that by now. And I don't see anything forming over the next several days. Look at that. Boy, talking about lower 48 weather, nothing to speak of at all. Just some air quality advisory. That's what that gray color stands for out west. Fog, I guess in this case it's fog. That can affect air quality, right? And then you've got a freeze warning all the way down to the coast there. I didn't know that. I'm glad I clicked on this. Look at that. 43 degrees out there in Oregon. Eee, that's kind of chilly for me. But yeah, the map is generally blank. There's a few coastal flooding and other issues here. Why did it do that? There we go. Coastal flood statement for some of these counties here along the east coast of Florida. High surf advisory. Why? Why do we have that? There's no hurricanes or anything. Well, look at the clouds through here. They're moving right on shore. We have strong high pressure out here over the Atlantic, and that is creating this long fetch. The wind blowing over a great distance of water. That's my definition for fetch anyway. So strong easterly winds kind of piling up the water along the coastline of Florida there. So you're going to have some higher surf on those east-facing beaches and a little bit of rip current action and maybe some beach erosion. And that's what that is all about. So if you're out and about in that area, just be mindful of that. Otherwise, pretty tranquil as we head into the weekend. And if you're going to be doing any traveling for Thanksgiving, you'll have a pretty decent time of doing so, at least for the next few days. But as we look ahead in the modeling here, and we'll look at the 850 millibar level for now, we're eventually going to switch over to a different map. We're going to get away from the tropics and start looking more at lower 48 weather. And since we do have more and more people watching from Europe and supporting this project from Europe, I'll focus more on European weather as well. We're going to get there. A lot of stuff coming up. But this is the current GFS run, 850 millibars. That's 5,000 feet up in the atmosphere. And again, we're really starting to lose any concentration of vorticity down in the tropics. Just a small little area here, maybe a small, certainly spread out, very dispersed area of vorticity. But otherwise, it's going to start concentrating more and more over the land areas of North America. And you'll see that as we go through these next frames. Here's 24 hours out, so this is Saturday morning. And here's Sunday morning at 48 hours. And here's that little area trying to get together some of that energy out over the western Atlantic. Just weak areas of clouds and showers kind of moving in, the leftovers of that large gyre, that circulation, which is really starting to break up. Now it's less and less of a circulation and more of just a bend in the trade winds down here. It's not closed off. It's not a true circulation any longer, so we'll put an X there. And that's great, because those folks down there, they really need to dry out. That is for darn sure. So going on out to 72 hours, again, nothing much to speak of in the Atlantic, Caribbean, or Gulf. But once we get to 96 for lower 48 weather, look at that little thing right there coming in. This is vorticity in the form of a cold front coming in. That's energy in the atmosphere. And that is coming up Tuesday morning. So anybody traveling by road, by rail, by air. Remember the Steve Martin, John Candy movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? Well, if you're using those three methods next week, yep, there could be some inclement weather scooting across the nation's midsection, and then finally Thanksgiving morning, it moves through the Carolinas, and we go and look at a week out. Next Friday, the 27th, no major storm systems. On Monday, we'll look at the actual lower 48 as a whole, instead of this particular, what we call map extent. This extent from Levi's site here covering generally the western and southwestern Atlantic, the Caribbean here, the Gulf of Mexico. But on Monday, I'll just pull this up to show you, we're going to focus more and more on the lower 48, or the CONUS shot, as some people call it. I call it the lower 48. And Canada's in there as well, Mexico, and Cuba, and the Bahamas, but you get the idea. And we'll take a look at this in greater detail on Monday. All right? All right. So a couple things on Patreon. I'm going to talk about this more and more. And again, it's not just to pitch it to you like, come on, I need money. Well, I just want to tell you about what we're doing. And one of the things we're doing is this new podcast. I say new. I started it last year. It's called Stories from the Hurricane Highway. And it's an audio podcast, and it starts at the very beginning of my career, way back in, well, ever since I was a kid, really. How I got started into all of this, the many hundreds of thousands of miles that I've driven along this fabled and storied hurricane highway, that metaphorical and very literal pavement of road and adventures and hurricanes and technology, the people, the stories, you know, kind of a behind-the-scenes look at where we've been for the past 20-something years. Was it 25 years or so that I've been doing this? Holy cow. And you have access to that even, I put even in air quotes there, even at the $1 level. You get access to that podcast. So you might not be in the position to commit to $10 a month right now, and that's fine. I understand that. We've got a great group of people that have supported this project since the Patreon has started in 2016. And really these last 2 years it's grown significantly. And we do have these different tiers that fit different needs for different people. But seriously, that $1 $1 a month level, you get our blogs, you know, we post exclusive content to Patreon, and you get access to the podcast, as well as, and I'll just expand it here and show you, the first access that we do to any blog post, as well as the Stories from the Hurricane Highway podcast, and any of our original content. Now, all of that's available on Amazon and YouTube. We put it out there in the public domain, so to speak. But anything we put out there that's new episodes, new anything, Patreon sees it first. It's one of the perks of being a sustaining member. You support what we're doing, you should get some benefits. So just consider that. If we had, several thousand people that were signing up at $1 a month, I could start to kind of bring the tiers down and make them more level. It'd be fine with me if we got rid of the $10 and it became $5 down the road. But we still have to be able to fund this and be smart about it and not give away the store for free, as they say, because it feeds back and we're able to do more with more. And that's how that works. That is the power of crowdfunding. That's why, if I could outline it where you could see it, that's why Kari, she's one of our crowdfunders over in the UK, puts that on the graphic. It's crowdfunded science. And that's how you do it. Patreon.com/HurricaneTrack. So, December 2nd, the new season of Stories from the Hurricane Highway begins, and the podcast itself will be better produced. I've got more equipment now, more technology. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. And we're going to pick up on the year 2005. The first season, I started at the very beginning, went all the way through the first whatever years of my career to 2004, and that tumultuous season, and we're going to begin on December 2nd. Every Wednesday, a new episode will be available exclusively on Patreon. And I do want to say that. It's never, sorry, it's one of those things, and I'm not sorry, not sorry. Patrons, you get access to it. Nobody else does. It's not going to be on Apple. It's not going to be on, SoundCloud. Not going to be on Google, Spotify. This is a true exclusive thing for the people that have supported this project. If you want an inside look, this is the least that I can do to say thank you for your support, is to give you something that's 100% exclusive. All right? All right. Have a good rest of your Friday, a great weekend ahead. I am going to take the next 2 days off from producing videos like this and work on other stuff. Oh, yeah. There's so much going on. You wouldn't even believe it. But that's the good stuff that we're going to be doing for next year. We got to work on that. So no weather to speak of any consequence this weekend. So let's all step away from the computers, from everything. Why not? Spend some time with your family. Go outside and enjoy that. And don't let the weather, the news, the politics, the COVID, don't let that bring you down, man. Let's all be happy, right? And have a good weekend ahead. But most importantly, stay safe. Thanks as always for tuning in and giving me a part of your day. I do appreciate it. I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com. I'll talk to you again on Monday.